Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tat Padam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyadramitam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So where are we in our text?
Page 99, third verse.
Will you help us out, please, Aditi?
Nanu jnanasya kanchit kalam prarabdhena karmana pratibandhena nirvartaka tve api pratibandhakshaye lingadeha nivartakatvam bhavishyati chet. Objection. It may be that the knowledge, although neutralized by the impeding prarabdha karma for some time, will be effective in dissolving the subtle body when the impediment is exhausted.
So the topic under discussion here is what happens when the Jivan Mukta drops the body. And there are lots and lots of theories about this. We have the same thing in Buddhism, by the way. You have the idea of the bodhisattva versus the arhat. The bodhisattva takes the vow to not enter nirvana until all beings are liberated and the number of beings is infinite. The arhat is the one who has reached nirvana. When they die, the physical body goes away, the subtle body goes away, there's nothing left. We have the same ideas in Hinduism. So in Hinduism, we talk about Jivan Mukta, liberated while in the body, contrasted with Videha Moksha, after the body is dropped. So the idea here is, the objector is saying, well, if prarabdha is keeping things moving at the physical level, then how is the subtle body going to be dissolved? You know, will it stick around? Will you be a Holy Ghost in the afterlife? Let's see what Vidyaranya says. Going on.
Na panchapadika charyena yato jnanamajnanasyeva nivartakam ityupapadittatvat. Tarhi linga deha nivritteha kim sadhanamiti chet samagri nivrittiriti brumha. द्विविधं हि कार्यनिवर्तकं विरोधे विरोधी सद्भावः सामग्रिनिवृत्तिश्चेति तद्यथा विरोधिनी वायुना तैलवर्ति सामग्रिनिवृत्त्या वा दीपो निवर्तते लिङ्गदेहस्य साक्षाद्विरोधिनं न पश्यामः सामग्रिः द्विविधा प्रारब्धमानारब्धं चेति ताभ्यामुभाभ्यामज्ञानिनां लिङ्गदेह इहामुत्र चावतिष्ठते ज्ञानिनां त्वनारब्धस्य ज्ञानेन निवृत्तेः प्रारब्धस्य च भोगेन निवृत्तेः तैलवर्तिरहितदीपवत्सामग्रिनिवृत्त्या लिङ्गदेहो निवर्तते अतो न तन्निवृत्तिर्ज्ञानफलम्. Reply. We say no because the author of Panchapadika, Padmapadacharya, has established logically that knowledge is the remover of ignorance only. Then, if it is asked what is the means of dissolving the subtle body, we say that it is the cessation of the material as well as the efficient cause of the subtle body. An effect is destroyed in one of two ways, either by the presence of unfavorable or its opposite thing, or by the cessation of the means of it. For instance, the lamp goes out either by the opposing gust or by the cessation of the material cause, such as oil, and the wick. We do not find anything directly opposite to the subtle body. The cause, samagri, is of two kinds, active, prarabdha, and potential, anarabdha. By both of them, the subtle bodies of the ignorant exist here and hereafter. As for the enlightened, the potential cause is destroyed by knowledge, and the active cause by undergoing it. Therefore, when the cause, the previous deeds, is exhausted, the subtle body dissolves, even as the lamp devoid of oil and the wick is extinguished. So the dissolution of the subtle body is not the effect of knowledge.
So again, the doubt here of the objector is, how come I may see the saint having reactions to worldly events? They may see someone they're fond of and be very happy. They may stub their toe and go, ouch, that hurt. They may enjoy music. They may get angry at a disciple. So what we have is obvious reactions, thoughts and feelings that are going on. These are activities of the subtle body. The question here, is it dissolved? It's much clearer set forward in Shankara, in Viveka. So the karmas of the past which have yet to fructify, they are the sanchitta karma. They're roasted in the fires of knowledge. The agami karmas of the future that are built up in this lifetime, are also roasted. Why? Because the mark of the person of knowledge is they know happiness is not externally determined. So all that's left is the product of both for the physical body and the subtle body, which you live through. Now, all of this is in the end quite superfluous. This is a teaching that Vidyaranya is giving for the ignorant who's looking at the guru seeming to function in the world, or for the person who's going, oh my gosh, I don't know whether I'll ever make it, blah, 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 the mumukshu, the jinyasu. But for the person of knowledge, the real Jivan Mukti, they have no concern for the existence or absence of the physical body or the soul body. For example, for the ordinary person, if the sun is out and you look down and you see that you have a shadow, so what? If the day is overcast and you look down and you have no shadow, so what? It has nothing to do with you. So, practically speaking, the yogi must make sure that they don't have subtle aversions to this world. The subtle aversions to this world can manifest. Oh, I can't wait till I realize that I never have to come back to this packet of sorrows, this horrible world. All it is just suffering. Then we still have subtle aversions to experience. So the yogi has to be willing to be in the body for the rest of eternity and no body for the rest of eternity. What if it's going to be just like this for the rest of eternity? With the world you have, with the relationships that are there, with the politics, with the aches and pains. What if this is it? This is what it is for the rest of eternity. How are you going to live? Give up concern for any of it. That's the freedom. So whether or not the subtle body dissolves becomes a moot point for the person of steady wisdom. The presence or absence of the subtle body, meaning the presence or absence of the activity of mind and intellect, perception, is of no import. Watch it all like a movie. Sometimes it's a Julie Andrews movie. Sometimes it's a Stephen King movie. But it's all just a movie. And if we have an intense spirit of renunciation, even when physiological things are not going well, pains in the body, loss of faculties. Mark and I have gone through this with our loss of sight. Endure them patiently. What do we know about all forms in the physical world? They are temporary. Movie always changes. So I think this is the most intelligent way to view. Don't be hopeful that the subtle body will disappear and then I'll be finally free. Those are subtle aversions. And I hope Vidyaranya eventually comes to this point. Let's see. Do you have any doubts or questions about this? I mean, all boils down to something so basically simple.
So Jim,
Go ahead.
the whole concern about reincarnation then is moot.
I agree.
Good. Okay.
So what the Buddha taught, which I think is so very true, it's true for Vedantins as well. We have to fundamentally see the entanglement, the relationship between kama and dukkha. Kama, craving, attachment, dukkha, suffering. If we crave, if we're attached, if we want it different than it is, then we suffer. So simple. So we do not achieve mature sannyas, mature renunciation, mature vairagya, detachment, out of some willpower or moral position. We do it out of insight, deep, penetrating vision, insight into what's really going on. What does it feel like to want something you don't have, or wanting to be rid of something you don't like? It sucks. Sometimes we can let it go, other times the pain is there. But know that it's always temporary. I went to the dentist on Monday for teeth cleaning. Not the most comfortable experience in the world. I'm an old man, I have gum issues. And they put that little wee thing and watching my body react. I'm sure I'm the only one online today who has that experience, right? Good news, like everything else, in time, it passes. While I was in the dentist chair, over and over again, I had to say, body relax, body relax. And laugh went, oh, I'm all tense again. But like everything else, it's temporary. Is this useful? Next verse.
नन्वनेन न्यायेन भावेदेहानारम्भोऽपि न ज्ञानफलम् तथा हि किमनारम्भः eva phalam kim va palanam nadhyah tasya pragabhavarupa त्वेनानाति सिद्धत्वात् न द्वितीयः अनारब्धकर्मरूपसामग्रिनिवृत्त्येव भाविदेहारम्भ प्राग भावपरिपालनसिद्धेः न च तन्निवृत्तिफलम् अविद्यानिवृत्तेरेव विद्याफलत्वात्. Objection. Arguing in the same manner, it can be said that the non-being of the future body also is not the effect of knowledge. For instance, whether the non-commencement is the effect of the maintenance of that non-commencement. The first position cannot be maintained because this absence of the commencement of the future body is eternally there, i.e., this antecedent non-existence has no beginning. Nor the second position is tenable, since by the dissolution of the cause in the form of potential deed alone, the prior non-existence of the beginning of the future body can be kept up. Moreover, the non-beginning of the future body cannot be the effect of knowledge, because the destruction of ignorance only is the effect of knowledge.
So what he's dealing with is all sorts of pretty heady stuff. So in Indian logic, we have prior non-existence, existence, subsequent non-existence. So, for example, here's the coffee mug. There's a date on here someplace. Okay, 2000. I got this coffee mug in the year 2000, 24 years old. In 1999, it did not exist. For how long did it not exist? Its prior non-existence was eternal and beginningless. If, God forbid, I drop the coffee mug and I break it, then its existence will end and I will have subsequent non-existence. For how long will non-existence, subsequent non-existence go on? Eternally. So what he's messing with here is what, again, happens to the sense of the physical body and the subtle body. Will it continue? Will it not continue? He's trying to use Tarka logic to posit the permanent existence of the individuality. Why? Because there are those ritualistic schools that say all you can do is do ritual, love Krishna, be a good person, and if you're a good enough person, you'll go to Brahmaloka, and at the end of the age, you'll then be liberated. The sense that this individuality continues to exist. So I hope Vidyaranya gets to this point. What happens at the moment of realization, when the mind, even for a moment, enters into samadhi. What do we mean by samadhi? When the thoughting is abated and the attentive faculty is turned inward, and we see there's no person there. There's just the space of consciousness. Even if you re-identify, something in the world triggers you, And all of a sudden, I feel like Jim again and fight all over again. At a very deep level, you know that that's fundamentally an illusion. And at a future moment, your mind will drop again and you'll say, oh, God, I got all identified. Truth is, I am Brahman. That still and always has been there. Now, will that personal sense of self finally stop arising? Don't worry about it. On a practical level, if I feel like a person, I'm deluded. If I feel like a person, it's probably of value to try to do some renunciation. Renounce the trigger, the worldly event, and do your best to renounce the personal sense of self. Drop it. Who are you? Koham, who am I? And its corollary, who cares? It's always just the ego that cares. Drop it. And we keep doing the jnana abhyasa, the practice of knowledge, until that doubt ceases to arise. Now back to Mark's comment on the previous verse. So the scriptures teach the doctrine of reincarnation. You don't have to believe in it, but listen very carefully. Belief is worthless. You can meet someone who believes the earth is flat. I don't care if you believe the earth is flat. That doesn't change reality. So what do we know for sure? I don't know about you, but I know dead people have come back to say this is what it's like on the other side. We only have the stories in Scripture. Now, men and wisdom, women of realization, thunder. This world is like a dream. Do you incarnate into a dream? Are you in the dream, or is the dream in you? And are you touched by the dream? No. Even though the mind is in a state of deep ignorance in the dream, I think I'm the dreamer. So my particular viewpoint, I like what Swamiji used to say. Reincarnation is the genealogy of the ghost in the post. If you think there's a ghost in the post, then all these ideas about the existence or non-existence of a subtle body, whether or not you're going to take up another physical body, is reincarnation an internal event? Does the subtle body remain in some loka on some other level? Who cares? It's only the ego. Let it go. Remember who you are. You are birthless, changeless, deathless, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Give up concern for this world of name and form. Any thoughts on this? It's funny about atheists. I was listening to a person in an AA meeting, and they had decided to go through the AA book and scratch out every time the word God was mentioned in it. They hated the word God. They're a militant atheist. And I didn't say anything, but what popped into my mind is the act of denying that something exists in itself proves that you believe that there's something there. For example, do you have issues with the double rubber? What's a double rubber? I don't know. I just made up the word. You have no affect, no resistance, no nothing. Completely non-existent. I hate God. I can't stand this. This can't be true. I don't believe in this. The very fact that we're so resistant indicates there's something I think is there. Flip side, you may meet a flat earther. The earth is flat. I can prove it. Scripture says this. This book says that. Proves it. Does my belief system ever have anything to do with what's real? No. So, the Vedantin absolutely and ruthlessly discards all their opinions. Does reincarnation exist? I don't know. Does reincarnation not exist? I don't know. What do you know? I am. And when I go to the direct experience of I am the space of pure awareness. I'm a Buddhist. That rises and falls too. Okay. How do you know that consciousness disappeared? You have no way to verify. Hypothetical. 10 minutes ago, you ceased to exist for half an hour. You have no experience of it because you weren't there to know that you disappeared. My direct experience is a continuity of I. What else do I know for sure? I'm seeing stuff. That stuff is always changing. Sometimes it appears, sometimes it disappears. But always remains. So the Vedanta, the Jnana Yogi is ruthless. Discard anything that is not absolutely real. What is our definition of reality? That which is never subject to negation, never subject to change. Which is always here, always known. The only thing that meets that definition is I. Don't believe me. Don't have any beliefs. Of course, you're going to have beliefs, but don't take them seriously. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
नैष दोषः भावजन्मानारम्भादीनां विद्याफलत्वस्य प्रामाणिकत्वात् यस्माद् भूयो न जायते इत्याद्युदाहृताः श्रुतस्य प्रमाणम् न च ज्ञानमज्ञानस्यैव निवर्तकामिति न्यायेन विरोधः अज्ञानस्य भावनियता नाम ब्रह्मत्वादीनाम ज्ञानशब्देन चार्यविवक्षितत्वात् अन्यथानुभवविरोधः अनुभूयते ह्यज्ञान निवृत्तिवद ब्रह्मत्वादिनिवृत्तिरपि तस्माद् भावी देह राहित्यलक्षणा विदेहमुक्तिर्ज्ञान समकालीना तथा च याज्ञवल्क्यवचनं श्रूयते अभयं वै जनक प्राप्तोऽसि इति एतावदरे खल्वमृतत्वम् इति च श्रुत्यन्तरेऽपि तमेवं विद्वानमृत इह भवति इति यद्युत्पन्ने अपि तत्त्वज्ञाने तत्फलभूता विदेहमुक्तिस्तदानीं न भवेत् कालान्तरे च भवेत् तदा ज्योतिष्ठो मादाविव ज्ञानजन्यमपूर्वं किञ्चित् कल्प्येत तथा च कर्मशास्त्र एव ज्ञानशास्त्रमन्तर भवेत् अथोच्यते मंत्रादिप्रतिबद्धाग्निवत् प्रारब्ध प्रतिबन्धं ज्ञानं कालान्तरे विदेहमुक्तिं दास्यतीति मैवम् अविरोधात् न ह्यस्मा न ह्यस्मदभिमता भाविदेहात्यन्ताभावलक्षणा विदेहमुक्तिर्वर्तमान देहमात्रस्थापकेन प्रारब्धेन निरुध्यते येन प्रतिबध्येत. Reply: there is no harm in this, because the non-beginning of the future birth and the like are the effect of knowledge. It has been described thus in the scriptures, from which he is not born again, Kathopanishad, and other such cited Shrutis are testimonies. Moreover, the theory of Pranchapadika, that knowledge only destroys ignorance, is not contradicted inasmuch as the concomitants, such as the notion of non-self and the like, of ignorance, are implied by the word ignorance. Otherwise, it will contradict the experience. The destruction of such notions as non-self and the like are experienced along with the destruction of the ignorance. Hence, Videha Mukti, in the form of non-existence of the future body, is simultaneously attained with knowledge. In this context, Yajnavalkya's words are there in the Shruti thus: Verily, Janak, you have reached the state of fearlessness. And, O Maitreyi, such verily is the life eternal. In other Shruti also thus: knowing him thus becomes immortal even in this body. If with the rise of the knowledge, Videha Mukti, in the form of its effect, does not take place, consequently, and occurs afterwards, then apurva, merit produced by the knowledge, is to be imagined as in the case of such sacrifices as Jyotishtoma and the like. Then the discipline of knowledge will become only a part of the ritualistic discipline. If it is suggested that knowledge neutralized for the time being by the operative deeds, prarabdha karma, produces videha mukti later on, just like fire neutralized by a spell becomes effective when it is over, we say this cannot be, because there is no such contradiction. Videha mukti, according to our point of view, characterized by absolute non-existence of the future body, is not obstructed by prarabdha karma, which preserves the existing body only. So no question of neutralizing the effect of knowledge.
So again, the doubt that he has here is, he's a ritualist, the objector, wants to know, do you have to do special rituals so that some future subtle body is neutralized? And what Vidyaranya is basically saying is self-realization removes the cause for future becoming. So, if you are currently in a circumstance where your mind tells you, I can't stand where I am, I need a different house, I need to live in a different city, I need to get rid of my relationship, I need to get a new relationship, I don't like that my body's falling apart, I don't like that I'm too young. As long as the mind is presenting, I'll be happy when, it'll be better if. We have yet to see this relationship between kama and dukkha. It is the kama itself which is the dukkha. If, on the other hand, We have let go of raga, dvesha, bhayacha, craving for things, aversion for other things, and the fear that I'm going to lose what I have. When we've achieved this samadrishta of the Gita, when I grasp deeply, I am Brahman, asangoham, I am unattached to this phenomenal world. Then its presence or absence is meaning. Now, what the scriptures say is when you remove the fundamental kama, the desire for it to be different than it is, then the cause of incarnation has been removed. That's what this whole topic is about. But understand, in the end, there's not even prarabdha karma for the saint. Worldly example. There may be a future destiny for this coffee mug. At some point, all the designs on it will come off and it will break. There's a future destiny for the coffee inside. Jim drinks it. What is the destiny of the space within the cup? Oh, someday the space within the cup is going to merge with the room space. No. You see cup space, you see room space. I move the cup. Wait. I don't have to make sure the space goes back in the cup. Space is untouched. It is sthita. It is still. Now, of course, the astrophysicists will debate this. But in our ordinary world, there's no relationship. I just call it cup space. So you exist. You have sat. You have bhava, being. I'm so fond of the 16th verse in the second chapter of Gita, where Lord Krishna plays with these two words, sat and bhava. He says, if it doesn't exist, it has no being. The horns of a hare, the child of a barren woman. It not only doesn't exist, but it has no being. And then he says there's no non-being for what really exists. All the names and forms come about by means of imagination. The only thing that exists, really exists, Sat, is you. And you're not an it. You're not a thing. You're not inert. You are conscious. You are sentient. You have bhava, being. that is nityam, eternal. The light show goes on. So this whole discussion about the existence or non-existence of the subtle body after dropping the physical body for the Jivan Mukta is moot point from the standpoint of the jnani, of the person of knowledge, the Jivan Mukta. It's all discussion about unreal things. You watch 2 or 3 Batman movies and they keep using a different actor to play Batman. It was so weird. Batman underwent a personality and physiological change. It's a movie. You do not change. Don't believe me? Look. All right, next verse.
किञ्च क्षणिकत्वेन कालान्तरे स्वयमविद्यमानं ज्ञानं कथं मुक्तिं तद्वात् ज्ञानान्तरं चरमसाक्षात्कारलक्षणमुत्पश्यत इति चेन्न साधनाभावात् प्रतिबन्धक प्रारब्धनिवृत्त्यैव सह गुरुशास्त्रदेहेन्द्रियाद्यशेष जगत् प्रतिभासनिवृत्ते किं तत् साधनं स्यात् तर्हि भूयश्चान्ते विश्वमायान्निवृत्तिः इत्यस्याः श्रुतेः कोऽर्थ इति चेत् आरब्धान्ते निमित्ताभावदेहेन्द्रियाद्यशेषनैमित्ति कनिवृत्तिरित्येवार्थः ततो भवदभिमता वर्तमानदेहराहित्यलक्षणा विदेहमुक्तिः पश्चादस्तु देहपातानन्तरम् अस्मदभिमता तु ज्ञानसमकालीनेव एतदेवाभिप्रेत्य भगवान् शेष आह तीर्थे श्वपचगृहे वा नष्टस्मृतिरपि परित्यजन्देहं ज्ञानसमकालमुक्तः कैवल्यं याति हतशोकः. Moreover, how can momentary knowledge, being non-existent itself afterwards, bring about liberation at a later time? If it is suggested that another knowledge in the form of the final realization will arise, we say it cannot be there, since there remains no means. With the cessation of the impeding prarabdha, the entire world of appearance, with its preceptors, scriptures, body and senses, and the like, ceases to exist. So, what would be the means to that final knowledge? Nor can it be challenged that in this context, then, what should be the meaning of the Shruti text? There is, in the end, complete cessation from the illusion of the world. The meaning.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The meaning is that when the prarabdha, when the arabdha karma is exhausted, all its effects consisting of the body, the senses, and the like cease to exist, since there can never be effect without cause. So let the Videha Mukti, in the form of being devoid of the existing body you approve of, come after the cessation of the existing body. But the one we admit is simultaneous with knowledge. Having this very idea in mind, the Lord Shesha says thus: He who has been liberated simultaneously with the rise of knowledge and is devoid of sorrow reaches the state of the absolute existence of the self, whether he gives up his body in a holy place or at the house of a Chandala, even with complete amnesia.
So the point that he's saying here, he finally gets to the right conclusion. So if the mind is destroyed and the cause for future bondage is destroyed at the moment of realization in this body, what is it that would get liberated at a future time? So what he's talking about is, in the end, the only thing that's real is the self-evidence of I. You are always free, you've always been. What is bondage? Bondage is nothing more than the deeply rooted conviction in the mind that I think I'm my body. From that stems all my suffering. What is moksha? Liberation. There is no other liberation than the deeply rooted conviction based on direct experience that I am Brahman and always have been Brahman. And both of those occur to the mind, that deep insight. What does that realization in the mind do? It undoes the cause of the suffering, which has as its root ignorance, and then the projection, I think I'm the body. When I'm ignorant and I think I'm the body, the inevitability is kama, craving, desire. I want it to be different. With knowledge, I see that aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman. What do I know about this world? Brahma satyam jagat mithya. Brahman alone is real, the phenomenal world is an illusion. What's really out there? Sarvam kalvidam Brahma. It's all God. It's all a light show. So right here, right now, the cause of suffering is removed. We don't have to wait to some future time. I think Vidyaranya has made a very simple subject unnecessarily complicated. But again, we don't know who he was dealing with. I suspect deeply religious youngsters who try to validate their family's traditions of ritualism, where it says Sankhya philosophy, the Purusha, the individual soul, is eternal. And its problem is that it's all caught up in matter. We've got to beat up the nasty matter to free the spiritual Purusha. And if you do, then that Purusha at the end of the age will go to Brahman. This is not the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. This is not the direct experience of the Mahas. All right, I think we'll end a little early today so we don't tackle another big mantra, a big shloka. And again, I'm going to start looking for a different text for us to do on Wednesday mornings. I think I've had my fill of Vidyaranya for now. So if any of you have suggestions, let me know, and we'll at some point make a transition. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha.